Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. There is no endeavor that human beings take up with such enthusiasm as their pursuit for love. And no project fails as miserably than one's pursuit of love. Many years ago, Puja Gurudev, having gone to Uttarkashi after his bypass or his heart attack, even there he did not sit idle, but he wrote beautiful letters called as I love you letters. At that time it would say I love you letters for children. And many people think, what do I need to know about love? I'm grown up. But grown up needs more, is it not? Because by now we realize that everything that we thought was love, that the teenagers think was not love. What is love? Because we've got very short time, I'll just define it. But if you want to study it in greater depth, I Love You Letters of Gurudev is there. Our book, our book, Life Management Techniques is there, right? At least to get a glimpse, and it's important that we know. Yeah? So what is love? Narad Bhakti Sutra also speaks about supreme love. Bhagavatam and Ramayana is filled with all beautiful relationships of love. Though most people, and especially you speak when you are young, why should I say these youngsters? You were once youngsters, right? No one loves me. What do you mean no one loves me? Your parents love you. No, but not that love. The only they think is that, that again, you can't even give it a name because relationship you have with your parents also, right? So this so-called dating love is what is called as love by people. And when they have a heartbreak or a separation, they land up with the notion that nobody loves them. But love is the basis of every single relationships. Even your colleagues in the office. But you're ashamed to use the word love because you understand love only as. But shouldn't there be team love? So what is love? The most important thing in our life. Most important thing in our life. And yet, no education can be given on love. We grow to learn it from those who love us. Yet, when we want to grow in love, as Gurudev uses the word, many people fall in love. And when you fall in love, you fall out of love also. You should rise in love. When you were dating, you fell in love. It's only 50 years of marriage. Yeah? When there is no more that butterfly feeling in your stomach. Watch your grandparents. Just the look in their eyes. Their attunement with each other. Yeah? She knows exactly what he wants when. And he doesn't even have to say it. And he just knows what not to say. Young couples, you know why they fight, right? Yeah. Love is such a magical thing, you know? And most people, really speaking, are so afraid to love. Yeah? Because all that we hear, especially in English songs or in every song, baby, you hurt me. Baby, you kill me, you know. This is all that you are, you know. I'll never fall in love again. And next thing is they are again in love, you know. So many things are called as love. Infatuation is called as love. Other things are also called as love, right? Lust is also called as love. So many things are called as love. Yet deep down, each one knows there is a magic, there's a beauty of love, and without love in our life, nothing has got that sense of joy and happiness. Imagine you had all the wealth in the world, but not one person to love you and for you to love. Psychophines you can get plenty. Wealth can bind you, what do you call in Hindi language? Chamche. चमचे बहुत मिल जाएंगे. Don't mistake them to be friends. But in life, even if you can be a friend to one person, yeah, even to your own spouse, and get love for even one person in this world, life is magical. But most people do not understand what love is, though love is in the hearts of every creature, even animals. You spontaneously feel it for your children. So what is love? Simple thing, I was standing at the bus station in Bombay, bus stop. And one elderly gentleman and one youngster were quarreling over on who should be in the front. Because in India, queue, we are very phonetic. Q is a Q. There's no straight line. Yeah? We are phonetic. No? And the buses also, they are called as BEST. Best buses. And everything is Tirupati Darshan. Tang-tang, 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 you know. So this Mr., and he used to live in our lane, so we know the name, you know. He was very popular, elderly man, very wise, and, you know, would very often come and lecture us. So we used to call him Uncle Iyer. So he was standing, and finally he came in the front, quite elderly, came in the front with the hope that now when the bus comes, while two people jump off, somebody behind him will carry him into the bus. Just push him into the bus. Now this young man comes, and those days, you remember your college days? Everybody carried one book to the college, only one book. Yeah? Where they probably took the address of one girlfriend. And like Sudarshan Chakra, with a Walkman in their ears. He comes there, and this old man tells him, hey, can you see there is a queue here? So he said, I'm queuing here. And to cut the story short, the elderly man, nowadays, what has happened to this generation? No decency, no manners. What do they go to college for? What ethics do they have? This guy is getting disturbed and says, oh, baby, you hurt me. Baby, you touch me, whatever, Yeah. So he turns around and he says, and then finally, this man touches him. Now, those days they didn't wear these torn jeans and shirts and all that. So He touched him. He brushed him off and he said, so he told him all these things that he told him. And he said, and of course Bombay language, ये बुड्ढे जो तेरे दो लटक रहे हैं ना, वो भी मैं दूर कर दूंगा. And these dialogues are all going on, and everybody knows how to be a witness in India. Sakshi bhav. So you call me Buddha, Buddha, they are fighting away, And before the bus comes, at that time his book fell down. And he read, Subramanyam, Shiv Kumar Iyer. You're Iyer. I am also Iyer. Two Iyers meet. And he says, Shiv Kumar who works in Godrej. He said, yes. Your mother is Shakuntala. He said, yes. Or don't you know I'm your uncle? Now when the bus comes, who goes first?
Everybody behind.
Wrong again. He's now very shy and that, says, Uncle, you go. Uncle says, no, beta, what have I got hurry? You go. You go. Pehle aap. Somebody else went in the bus and the bus left. And the two, after all, two relatives, when they meet, they sat there. Now, what happened at that time? The moment you see some identity. So what is love? When you feel some identity, some oneness with the person. That is love. And the measure of love is what? The measure of love is how much you are identified with that person as your own, and for whom, how much are you ready to, when the word you use sacrifice nowadays, it's there, no? What are you ready to give? You're ready to give yourself because it's yourself only. So there's no hesitation in giving and taking. So the measure of love is how much you're ready to give, how much you're ready to sacrifice. And the highest measure of love is that you give yourself completely to the beloved. There's one beautiful statement by Radha. They used to play games, Radha and Krishna. She says, see, if I win, you are mine. If I lose, I am yours. This is called win-win situation. In love, there's only win-win situation. Jo hara, wo jeeta. Jo jeeta, wo hara. This is what is called as love. And even temporarily, when people have that identification for a short period of time, see what happens. We experience something, a type of happiness that is inexplicable. Therefore, in Narad Bhakti Sutra it is said that Amrita Swarupacha, the very nature of love is bliss. Happiness and love cannot be separated from each other. Now quickly, I will just give, otherwise I give very elaborately, especially in our youth camps where the youth come, to give a clear understanding of what is love, called as prema, and what is sneha. In English, if you use the word again, attachment, how can we not be attached to our children? What is sneha? That which sticks. That's why attachment. What is the difference between the two? I will list it very briefly. Then we'll get into different types of relationships. But think over it. First and foremost, what people fall in is not love. that which you rise in is love. That's a cliche. Attachment, and what is the difference, main difference between attachment and love? Attachment is selfish. It is about what I gain, what joy I get from a thing or a being, and then I hold on to that being. Even if that being is suffocating, I don't care as long as I have it. Wife and mother-in-law. Attachment. What comes in the way is not the love of the two. It is attachment. Attachment is all about me. Love is all about us. There's no me separate from you, no you separate from me. And therefore, a lover finds happiness in the happiness of the beloved. Not that I should be happy whether the other person is suffering or not. To find happiness in the happiness of the beloved. Another thing is, attachment always has a reason. Love has no reason. I remember once one person came up to me, one young man came up to me and said, Swamiji, I want to meet you privately. I said, so, who are you in love with? Swamis know everything. I said, and she is not from your background. And mommy and daddy are very upset. And they've said that they'll throw you out of the house. Yeah. And which you don't care right now. Yeah. But if you marry her, your mommy says she will commit suicide. Swamiji, how do you know? Did my mother speak to you? I said, I don't know your mother also. Right? So he said, yeah, Swamiji, I'm in this situation. What do I do? So I said, why don't you think before you did? You know what your parents' reaction are going to be. Now, either you disappoint your parents or you disappoint her. What can you do? But no, Swamiji. So I said, why don't you all think before you fall in love? I had never fallen in love. Yeah? But he gave me a very good answer. If you think, will you ever fall in love? See, you have to understand also what we say. I had also learned about love, this kind of love. Yeah? Falling in love, when you fall, you don't think and fall, do you? But you definitely think and climb. Or you just climbed, that's it. See, even the words that we use in our own vocabulary. For attachment, there is always a reason. Because what we like, we say we love. Like nowadays, I love ice cream. What do you mean love ice cream? That's why Gurudev explained. When our emotion is for something, don't use the word lower, but something finite, something small. It is sneha, attachment. When it is for something higher, then it is called as prem. And when it is for the highest, whether it's for parents, whether it's for country, whether it is for the infinite, all-pervading, ever-present in everyone, Lord of the universe, then it is called as bhakti. But they are all shades of love. So in attachment also you feel the emotion of love, temporary. But as long as your likes are being fulfilled. The moment you don't get what you like, and that's why I know these days, we had a relationship for 5 years. Then what happened? You said that you want to be together for 5 years to know whether you should get married. So now 5 years you're together, get married. No, I realize that I don't like certain things about him or her. It reminds me, and again, in this about relationships also. Gurudev was invited to someone's 50th anniversary, and this old couple was celebrating their 50th anniversary. And unlike nowadays, many 50th anniversary again will put mehndi in their eyes and they will tumak, they will dance also. At 70 or 75, but not that it's bad, it's really very good. But but traditionally a sadhu, and they were not like devotees also. They're not being, they heard such a great sadhu has come into town, so they rather have his blessings on the fulfillment of 50 years of marriage. So we had also followed their 50th anniversary, khana pina acha hoga. So we had also followed. And Gurudev, he was such an amazing person. There's so many things, you could just learn as he spoke. So he was listening to that elderly man, and Gurudev asked him a question that these days, 50 months they can't stay together. You stayed 50 years. How did you manage? Because he was educating the youth so much. How did you manage? So of course, you're old when you remember your past very vividly, but you forget things in the present. So he started, Swamiji in 19 this, joint family, we got married. Till the married, night, I did not even see her face. There's no such thing as, love before marriage. I didn't even see her face. And we got married. Then, we moved. Incidentally, they had come to America. So they had moved to America. There, he had come with scholarship. He was studying also. Meanwhile, she had to, work and do, things. He was studying. All this was going on. So, but now that she's come to USA, 10 years on the 10th wedding anniversary. He had finished his education, he had a job, she had a job, but she came home, 10th wedding anniversary, she's cut her hair, she's wearing a beautiful dress. And even he comes inside as usual, like most men. That's a day probably they want to forget. So he walks inside, she has made candlelight dinner for him. And he just said, Come on, I'm very tired, let's go out for a drive. So she said, he remembered. He must have had a surprise. So Shito gives him every year surprise, which is not a surprise, it's a candlelight dinner. But now he's calling her for a surprise. Okay, great. So she sat in the car. Till now he's not even wished her. He's just driving. So she thinks he's probably taking her to a nice romantic restaurant. They pass the towering buildings. They pass everything. Oh, maybe he's taking me for a romantic to a vineyard. They passed the vineyard also. They came to the woods. The woods were right in front. Suddenly she realized, and she said, "You forgot." She realized that he forgot. So he said, "Forgot what?" "You don't even know what you forgot." Yeah. And don't tell me how I know. I hear many such conversations in the car. Yeah. "You forgot. You forgot." "But what did I forget?" "You forgot that you forgot." And if I forgot, how will I remember it? You tell me now. Why should I tell you? You should have remembered. So he said, remember what? See, you don't even know what to remember. But tell me, stop the car here, So he knows to obey, So he stops the car, opens the door. She sees too dark, she sits inside. Now she's in tears and all that, and he is driving the car, and then turns into the woods. Meanwhile, her wedding anniversary has been ruined, her mood is ruined, and he goes into the woods. At first she's suspicious. Did he insure me? And then as they go into the dark path in the woods, he says, close your eyes. She got even upset now. You brought me into the woods to be romantic. He says, close your eyes. And with one eye, he closes her eyes. And he drives the car without the headlights. She pushes his hand, but there's no headlight. And just as he is gone in the front, this is not a love thriller. You're sitting with such suspense. And he's describing this all in details, and Gurudev is listening to it with patience. And he switches on the headlights. And what does she see? One beautiful white bungalow wrapped with a ribbon. And when she looks at the board, Shanti Nivas. That's her name. Now again she starts crying. He says, happy anniversary, darling. It dramatized everything, and he told her. And she started crying. You remember that this is our home after 10 years. He said, Swamiji, this was my 10th wedding anniversary gift to her, and we've lived in this house for the last 40 years. And he says, so he said, oh, then Gurudev just laughed and said, so how was that evening then? He says, most terrible. Because she walks inside and she says, you see, we're going to have pink curtains here. And I said, no, blue. Because my mother, I said, where pink curtains are there, the woman dominates. And in his house, the pink curtain was there, I mean, his parents' house. And then I wanted the sofa here. But that sofa you're sitting on, Swamiji, 40 years ago, she wanted it there. And you could see there were pink curtains and the sofa was where she wanted it to be. Right? So anyway, Gurudev laughed and said, you two are so different from each other. Then what is that because of which you stayed in this marriage for 50 years? He had no answer. But Kalidas has said, can you imagine, as a teenager on stage, I had to tell this dialogue. And wisdom comes naturally to women. Men have to learn it from books. Even at that age, the kitchen, because she was cooking herself, the curtain was there. That's why they put curtain. Everything is stereophonic in the kitchen. And from behind the kitchen, even at that age, she comes to his rescue with such coy. And she says, Swamiji, you like someone because of something. You love someone in spite of everything. In spite of everything. What beautiful wisdom. And especially for couples. When you vow to live together, there'll be so many differences, but remind yourself of your love, because that unites you, not your likes and dislikes. Why today so many divorces are taking place? I didn't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this. When I and my like comes in, and everybody's got likes and dislikes, couples also have got likes and dislikes. However, love transcends all likes and dislikes, in spite of. Another thing is, in love there can be pain. The pain that mother goes through, but she doesn't suffer. That's why it is said, those who can't bear pain, they should not even dare to love. In pain there will be love, but in love there can be pain, but in love there will never be fear or insecurity. That which comes to an end was attachment. Love is that keeps on increasing every moment of our life. Yeah? Never becomes less. Our affections change, our relationship with them changes, but not love. And that is the thing we have to recognize and hold on to. Now coming to various different relationships, some key point, because we can't go in detail, but I do not know if they've put up the QR code for the thing. Tomorrow it will be put up on our Chinmaya YouTube channels. Talks on parenting, talks on love and relationships, on couples, etc. There are a lot of, and even teamwork, different types. Friendship also, there are talks. Please go on it, so more in details, because in 1 hour I'm trying to cover some essential points. Now, again, we used to hear sometimes our grandmother, I'm not married, you say, what are you giving me lecture on marriage? But half our time goes in marriage counseling only. Not committee issues, marriage counseling. Not that marriage are going through divorces, but one thing I heard one elderly mother saying, and they've gone through life, they've gone through the ups and downs, their relationships also were not like perfect. Yeah? Because people say marriages are made in heaven. But somebody said so is thunder and lightning. But this elderly woman, she told, when her grandchildren all were coming to her to take blessings after the marriage, she said, when two people are living together, there can always be likes, dislikes, conflicts, arguments, sometimes even fights. But one advice she gave, which I share with all, she said that whatever you may have fought for, whatever wrongdoing you may have done, but before you go to sleep, forgive and forget. Do you know most people carry one small incident, and I can give you hundreds of such examples. Marriages which I managed to save. Now please don't come for marriage counseling. I've given up that profession. Okay? I've handed it over to the younger ones now. Yeah? One small incident, which if it was clarified or even forgiven, I do not know if my book Journey into Health is there. Even certain diseases for something so minor, what people do to their own body, not deliberately, but the diseases that they manifest. It's amazing how the mind works on torturing you only for the faults of someone else. Forgive and forget. Now on that I remember one other thing. One couple who had heard this, they had a terrible fight, and as always, he's wrong. So he said, okay, let's forgive and forget. She also said, let's forgive and forget. But one thing is that, for 20 years, she would remind him. Till one day he got so frustrated, he said, I thought we forgive and forgot. She said, of course I have forgiven and forgotten, but I don't want you to forget that I have forgiven and forgotten. Do not carry it to the next day. Because then it burrows its way into the relationship. These are some simple tips I've heard from parents. In marriage, there should be trust. There should be mutual sharing. If both have a common goal, the children have common goals sometimes, no? But they have a common goal. They say a family that eats together stays together. But I'll tell you one thing. The family that prays and serves together will never allow selfishness to come into their relationship. Yeah? Therefore, Guruji has given a beautiful wedding anniversary song. You must have heard it. Yeah. Let each day, when you say romance, what is romance? Not buying a rose or buying a diamond ring. That element of surprise, that each day renew your love. Beautiful song Guruji has written on wedding anniversary, the purpose of marriage. Together, grow in love, serve the world in love, and let this marriage life of yours be a means for not bondage but liberation. There is another great author who has said, which you find in Bhaj Govindam also Gurudev has written, be like the two pillars of the temple or the house, together but not clinging to each other. Can you imagine if, and Gurudev dramatized, if two pillars said, I can't be without you, the roof is going to collapse. Yeah? And remember, give each one freedom to grow. Because the two mighty trees can't grow under each other's shade. Yeah. These are the teachings of our scriptures. Nobody was put down, nobody was put high. Both grow in their own way and give them freedom to grow. So let there be space between the two and love flow between that space. No? Let more and more love flow between that space. Not this nowadays days, give me my space. Which means I need his or her bathroom. This is about marriage. Then very important relationship is parents and children. Again, how beautifully a great person has said, remember the children are through you. They are not from you. Only life can contain them. They do not belong to you. You are here to nurture them, but they are your future. Don't drag them to your dead past. Yeah? And be like that bow that bends in the hands of the mighty archer, who has set their mark, set their destiny. And as dear is or purposeful is the arrow for that archer, so is the bow that bends in its might. And the more the bow is ready to stretch itself, the faster the arrow can move towards their destiny. But the bow lets go of the arrow. Imagine if the bow said, "No, don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me." The arrow will fall there only. It'll fall, but it'll fall there only. See, the beautiful things have been said by great people. Another very interesting incident. Many, many years ago, before I went on this, I had one wedding, and this was one of those grand weddings in town. And even food was not buffet, it was a la carte and everything. So it was there, it was fine dining, everything. Everybody had to wear, coat, boat, tie. Even children had to wear that. Can you imagine children suffocating in that tie? Like some of us did in the school, in that hot, sultry climates of Chennai and Bombay. So while we were sitting there, came this one family, and both, husband, wife, and one, I think must be about 6-year-old child. And they came in. Of course, she was adjusting his bow and making very proper. She was very beautifully dressed also. He was also very elegantly dressed, but she's trying to, talk like that, stand like that. Husband also, son also. So, and adjusting his tie and this, and the child is feeling uncomfortable. Anyway, they came and sat on the table. When they came and sat on the table, a waitress, she came there, and she was a little bit, you could see that she is a mother figure. She came to the table, she handed over, of course, first the menu to the lady. And these menus, I do not know, why don't they just say mac and cheese? They were like, fettuccine au gratin. Now, of course, it's written in French and all that. So she gave that. Then she handed over the menu to that little child. He didn't even know which side to open the menu. So, as the mother you would expect, she went off to just snatch the menu from him as though he can read. She just took the menu from him. And that little child said, "Do you have pizzas and fries?" She got really upset. Such a big restaurant and you want pizzas and fries, you can eat that anytime, And then she said something, she gave whatever was available with baked potatoes and carrots and broccoli. Anyway, she took the lady's order also, and then she looked at him. And she said, everybody's menu, and she says, "Pizzas and fries for you. Do you want ketchup and mustard with it?" And she walked away. This mother was furious. She's right to be furious. She was furious. She said, "How dare she? How dare she? How dare she? And did you read her name?" Now, if he says he read the name, he's in trouble. And he says, no, he did not read the name on her, So then also she was upset with him, and she said, get her fired right now. One of those society people. Get them fired right now. Meanwhile, while she's saying all this, and he's trying to handle her, and this boy holds on to his father and says, "I love her." And he's saying, "Okay, you're too young to fall in love right now, no?" But what that child said that day, he says, "She's the first one who made me feel I exist." Every parent loves their child. There is no doubt about it. what is that element which transcends all attachment? To give that independence to that child. Not even go do whatever you want to do. That also please don't do. When they grow up, they say, you never stopped me when I was doing all this wrong. Yeah, but you never listened. Even if they don't listen, you tell them. They don't like it. Mom, you nag. Dad, you always lecture. You tell them, because later on they're going to tell you that you did not stop me. There was one Kali Baba, I don't know if some of you heard him. He was a serial killer. A story is told that when he was being, executed, they asked him, what would you want as your last wish? And he said, I want to meet my mother. They said, even see, such a serial killer has got this for the mother. Naturally, mother seeing her child when she came running, I mean, he's a serial killer. For him, please others, don't ever think about these things. She came running, my son, my son, and he gave one slap to his mother. She said, all my life I never even touched you and you gave me a slap. He said, when the first time I did something wrong, if you had given me this slap, you would have given me this slap, I wouldn't be where I am today. Unfortunately, children don't listen at that age, and parents give up. Therefore, advice to children is, because I meet so many teenagers, so many camps I do, they come and share so many things. I say to them, listen, I know your parents, they are cooler than you are. Yeah. Why are you so afraid whom you are meeting and all that? Tell them, be honest to them. Tell them if something is happening in your school, something happening where you're going out for parties, tell your parents, no, they'll stop us from going there, no? My advice to parents is, if a child is coming and telling you that there are drugs in the place, he's coming to ask you and seek help. Don't panic right away. Maybe he or she may have started it, but they've come to tell you, to feel you out. You must give them a patient ear. No? Then you will know what they are going through and what you can help them with. So often they tell me, Swamiji, you please stay here only. When they meet our brahmacharis also and all that, brahmachari, you please stay here only, don't go, because we need someone to talk to. So I said, we are there for you. But your parents are your best well-wishers. No one in the world is your well-wisher like your parents. They may not be 100% right. Yeah? They are also humans. But they never have your non-well-being in their mind. That faith you must have. Then you can bring your viewpoint to them, hear their viewpoint. This is so important in a parent-child relationship. The other, which is very important, especially to youngsters, but also to elders, is friendship. Yeah? Friendship and relatives, such as siblings, cousins, etc. In any such relationship, there can be times of, some conflict. But do not keep money over relationships. Yeah? Relationships come first. Money. There's something to do gullible and just, squander your money. No. Sometimes just for a few $1,000s. Yeah. Siblings relationship comes to an end. That's why yesterday I said, what is in your destiny is going to come to you. Yeah. Not that everything you give up. You may argue, you may fight for it. But let not your relationship end because of money. Friendship also. And in friendship, as Ramchandra says, beautiful section in the Ramayana, which speaks on friendship. And in Ramcharitmanas, Goswami Tulsidas Ji's Ramayana, it is said that when Ramchandraji meets Sugriv, he says, who is a friend? These are worth reading. In Valmiki Ramayana, what is the duty of a doctor? It's worth reading. No? Then we know what is dharma, what is adharma. Why these people became so great. Why did they have such friends who were ready to lay their life for them? Because they laid their life for them. No? And there Ramchandraji says, Det let man shank na kariye. And he used the word giving. You be the first giver. Giving and taking, there should be no hesitation. Oh my God, I'm indebted. No? That sharing should be mutual. Friends, grain like sorrow and your mountain like sorrow. Yeah? And see what he did. He's so separated from his wife and doesn't even know where she is. Sugriv also is separated from his wife, but he knows where she is. But Ramchandraji helped him first. Didn't say, well, first you do my job, then I owe you one. So a sense of friendship. And in every relationship, there can always be some mistakes, etc. And forgiving doesn't mean that you don't correct the person. As I said, even a mother has to correct the child sometime. If he's doing something harmful, it's part of your duty. But there's a time that you have to let them to fall, just like you do when they start walking. If every time you just hold on to them, they'll never have their muscles strong. If they are insistent and they're not doing something harmful terribly, from where there is no return, then allow them to fall so that they discover for themselves that you were right. But don't reprimand them. See, I told you. So these are few essences of relationships. There are many other relationships we have with our profession. Our professional goals. Our professional duties. Yeah. All these we must get to know. And when there is love, everything is natural. But whenever you find something disturbing, look at it. It's not because of love. It's some element of attachment, some element of like, dislike, selfishness, and ego comes in. And therefore the highest measure of love is when our ego dissolves. As I said, neither you nor me, it is us. And the highest form of love is loving that one who is the many. And something that I experienced, Puja Gurudev had come to Hong Kong that time and announced that I'm having a camp of 10 days for 2 months continuously in Siddhabadi. Beautiful. I've never been to an ashram, grown up in India but never been to an ashram. But when he said Himalayas, at the foothills of the Himalayas, from such a great Maharishi, went there. We had thought we'll go for 10 days. Who thinks 2 months you can take out from work and go? But each moment was so blissful that we kept on writing back. Those days telegrams, not like WhatsApp messages or PayPal or whatever it is. So keep on changing the ticket, paying the extra amount. Like that we stayed for 2 months and everybody wanted to stay. Others were told go, but we were the only youngsters, so we were allowed to stay. Because we've come so far and youngsters, we were only 2-3 youngsters. So we got uncle, we would go up and then we would stay. You know? And when the camp was over, those who stayed for the 2 months, and Gurudev, rare to have him for 2 months up in a place. Rare. So that time, Swami Tejomendra Guruji was taking the Brahmachari course there, and we just went up to him. We know it's impossible, but still, what's harm in trying? So went up to him, Swamiji, please, can you tell Gurudev to extend the camp? So he, in his cute style, says, first of all, you all don't come to these camps as much as we announce. And now you don't want to go. Why? So he said, it's so beautiful here. So it was beautiful here. Nowadays it's much more comfortable, so don't worry, because I'm going to invite you for the camps. But those days, ashram was just new, it was hardly been built, and Gurudev built it as a retreat place, for people to come and meditate. So we were 7 on the ground, no mattress given, right? No hot water. All is available now, so don't get frightened. No hot water, no this. 7 people, the first person who gets up, and of course we would hang around with Gurudev as much as possible and then sit and discuss, and we come in late. Meanwhile, every other elder person is snoring away in the thing, and then we have given our names, who will go to the bathroom first, one common bathroom, right? Now, the person who wants to give the name first gets up at 3:30, 5 o'clock we have to be there for meditation, walks over us, goes to the bathroom, and you think suddenly Pralay has come because, Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. Because cold water at that time. So you wake up, has Pralay come, has the dissolution come. And then you find it's 3:30 and he's just having a bath. You got to slow, then he comes out and now he can't sleep. So he chants Vedic chanting in the room. Sahasrashesha Purusha. Okay, it's Vedic chanting, very sweet, but we need 1 more hour to sleep, till our turn comes for the bathroom. In such conditions. So he said, you're living in such conditions. How come? He said, everybody is so loving in spite of all that. He said, in house too, parents can't stay with children, spouses can't stay with each other, siblings can't stay with each other, and you all are strangers here, living with 7 in a room, in all these difficulties, and you are calling it that you're very happy here. Why? Because there is love. How can you love these people when you can't love your own people at home? How come everybody is so nice to each other? We had no answers, so we looked at him for answer. And he said something so beautiful that day. That you all have come loving him who loves all of you. And in that love of the one, you love the many. But when you love one out of the many, it is attachment. And the one, like if you love your country, you love all your fellow ones. If you love God, you love every creature. That is called as bhakti. So I've tried as quickly as possible to cover this topic of love and relationship. But all this is possible when we learn how to manage the manager. Who's the manager? We shall see tomorrow. Because without a manager, nothing can be managed. But we have to learn to manage the manager, your boss. And don't argue who's the boss. So tomorrow's topic is very important. Managing the manager. So be regular so that you can complete the whole topic. Managing the manager tomorrow, right? I'm checking. But even if it's another topic, it doesn't matter, right? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate